New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello and welcome back to Global Focus today. I am Reverend Dr. Sharri Johnson, your host, and our guest today is a delightful Reverend Focus minister, Reverend Verona Garland, and her ministry is called Prosperity on the Move. It is fascinating. She is a prosperity mentor, a certified freedom life coach. How do you like that one? A certified freedom life coach. She is an Agape and CSL minister. She serves as the assistant minister at Agape Bay Area in Oakland, California, and she's a staff outreach minister at CSL Palm Springs. Talk about juggling a chainsaw, a bowling ball, and a raw egg. Her ministry expressions include global pilgrimages, international inspirational speaking, spiritual counseling, prosperity mentoring, curriculum writing, life rituals, and here's my favorite, abundance play shops. The embodiment, exhilaration, and embrace of oneness are her ultimate joys. So please help me welcome Reverend Verona Garland. Thank you so much for saying yes.
Oh, thank you for asking me. It's always wonderful here to be with you in this vibration of love and enthusiasm and energy and just this deepness in spirit. Yes, centered. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I want to know everything there is to know about you, but I'm going to start with just some basic stuff because there may be folks here who aren't familiar with you. So tell us how it happens that how you got into New Thought and how you got to be an Agape minister and a CSL minister both.
Okay. So it's a lot. It's can appear to seem to be a lot. So how I got into New Thought actually is I was raised as a Southern Baptist girl, and I came from a family that we went to the brick and mortar of the church building 6 days out of 7. So I was steeped in religiosity, but also I was steeped in spirit itself, in spirituality, unbeknownst to me. So most of my whole life, the place that I was most happy was at church. And when I was a younger girl, I wasn't quite clear the way in which I put that together in that, this is why I'm here to serve God. This is the reason I incarnated on the planet. However, I was always, as I said, the most comfortable there. I did everything there. I did all the speaking engagements there. We used to have oratorical contests. Yes. And I did all of those there. And so as I grew up, it was a everyday part of my life, not so much because my parents went there. And part of the reason we went there was I was a kid in the years that there was still segregation. And so we went there because that was our community. Also, that was our community. That was a safe place for us. That was just where we all got together. When I think about it now, where we all got together and knew each other, and that's who we were with. All that put together. Then off I go to college. And but when I went to college, I turned into a rebellious girl for a minute. But during the time I was at college, I still, my spirituality was important to me. My parents were wise enough to send me to a Presbyterian college. And part of going to a Presbyterian college was you had a class one of your classes was going to service on Sunday. And it was a very small private school. And if you didn't show up to service on Sunday, which I tried not to, the dean of women would come to your dorm and wake you up and say, is there a reason you're not at service? So that really kept it flowing for me. And then after that, I got out of college. I went around the United States a little bit. Then I decided to travel. And then I was blessed enough to get a career where I traveled for a living. And in that career where I traveled for a living, I began ministering to people unbeknownst to me. I didn't use that word because from my faith philosophy background, women were not ministers that I knew of in the upbringing that I had. So it didn't even hit my mind. Oh, yeah, okay, that's what you're doing. However, I was ministering. As I was ministering, I also had this fabulous traveling avocation, and that gave me a lot of time off. And in my time off, I took dance classes. Now, this may not make any sense, but I took dance classes and I took ballet. And one of my favorite ballet instructors, I mentioned to him, I really would like to go back to everyday services. However, I just don't know where to go, and I can't go back to the Baptists. I love them. I appreciate what was the foundational part of them that's in me. I just can't do that again. And he said, oh, pardon me. He said, I know of this place, this center. It's called Science of Mind. And he said, I haven't ever been there, but I have another friend who goes there. Maybe you could try it. And that is what brought me to Science of Mind. That's how I came to Science of Mind. And I came to Science of Mind at a time in my life when I was, before I had children and before I had a marriage and all that. So in the beginning, I had 100% of the time to devote to it when I wasn't at work, when I wasn't in my chosen avocation. That's how I came to Science of Mind. And when I came, of course, like a lot of, not of course, but like a lot of us who are in Science of Mind, when I walked in the door, I just had a sigh of relief. Okay, I'm here. I'm home. God really does love me. I really am its beloved. And I really am the fingers and hands and legs and feet and eyes of the divine. And it interacted with and just melded together with my earlier upbringing. And so I was just at home. I was ecstatic to be at home. Yeah. And go ahead, Sharri.
I was just going to say, I understand completely what you're saying, because the first time I walked into a CSL church, I realized there was a Sharri-shaped hole there.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That, I think if you talk to most New Thought people, whether it's Agape or Unity or CSL or Divine Science, New Thought people will tell you the first time I walked, especially if they were raised in a more restrictive kind of upbringing, they'll say, I walked in and I knew right away I was home. Mm-hmm. I knew there was a place there that was just waiting for me to fill it up. Mm-hmm. So I know I know that feeling, and it's
thank you. It's
nice to be reminded of it.
It is, isn't it? Because every time I think about it, it does give me God bumps. So I came to Science of Mind. I started taking classes like what we do, I loved it. My then senior minister said to me, there's a practitioner inside of you. And I said, oh, I don't think so.
We all say that too.
Well, yeah. And she said, yes, there is. However, take your time. So when I finally realized that, the way Spirit laid it out chronologically was because of the classes I had taken or not taken, I got to wait a whole year before I started practitioner training. So it was really great introduction to practitioner training, introduction to being a practitioner that it's on Spirit's time, not on my time. So practitioner training, then I finished practitioner training and loved it, working practitioner as well as having my other avocation. Then Spirit just tapped me on the head and said, okay, it's time now for you to officially be my minister. So a dear friend of mine, I applied at different places, and a dear friend of mine said, you know what? It came to me in my meditation that here's the school you're to go to. And the reason why is because you've always been a person who is adventurous and is out of the box. So that's what happened. I went to a ministerial school that was out of the box, Emerson Theological Institute, which was online at the time, which at the time online was not really that popular. And I loved it because I could take all of my homework, all of my growth work with me in my iPad, in my computer, on the plane, and still go to work in my travel avocation and still get everything accomplished. And actually it made part of that too so much more comforting and made it feel more of a sanctuary in the times that perhaps when I was out traveling and I wanted to be at home and I'd had enough of traveling, just having my growth work with me really was a comfort. It really was. It was like being swaddled in something and like a comforter made by my grandma or something like that. So finished all that, went back to just went back to being practitioner. And at the time in my meditation, because I now know, I mean, I've known for a long time, but meditation is absolutely this miraculous, wonderful, always available tool. In my meditation, it showed up that where my now retired senior minister was, she had moved to a different center, that I was to be there with her and that I was to be ministering there with her. So I phoned her that morning after the meditation and told her, and she said, well, guess what? That's what came up in my meditation today also. Yeah. So that's how I switched over. And after I switched over, like a year after I switched over to what was then called Awakened Living Spiritual Center, we became Agape, because in the meditation and visioning of Awakened Living Spiritual Center, it came that we were to be an Agape center. And so we followed it through. It was followed through. Reverend Michael was contacted. He said, wow, it came up in our visioning too. That you are to be our first affiliate. So that's how I mean, it's so wonderful how Spirit unfolds everything, how it just rolls out on its own. And that's how I came to be Agape as well as CSL, because I still was wanting, I still had a longing to be connected with my CSL family. And so I went about the steps of becoming an affiliated CSL minister, which was really wonderful and fun and relatively easy. And here I am.
I understand. It just tickles me sometimes that God is so cute.
Yes.
But it could, it's not a thunderbolt. It's not voom pa, ting, Noah. It's just a quiet little, oh, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, by the way.
Yes.
And it just tickles me. I was at a service last week and they asked us to ask what we were thankful for. And I said, I think the thing that I'm most thankful for is that my only problem is that I don't know how to say thank you big enough. And when you're in that situation and you know that you're home.
Mm-hmm.
You're just home. Mm-hmm. So what's new and exciting now that you've got yourself wearing two hats?
Oh, Reverend Dr. Sharri, what's new and exciting is I get an opportunity to listen to Spirit, like you said, the little, just like little tinkle that gives me an opportunity to have balance in my life. And what is new and exciting is for Prosperity on the Move, we have new and exciting things. Starting in January 2nd, we're having our second annual Abundance Play Shop, Prosperity Play Shop. And so that is really, really wonderful. It's a 21-day event, I might say, it's a 21-day commitment. Yes. And from 07:15 to 07:30 Pacific time, every morning for 21 days, we meet together on Zoom. We have some sort of prosperity quote. We get to talk about our prosperity activity of that day. And then we have an affirmation that goes along with the entire day, that you get an opportunity every hour on the hour to use that affirmation, to be with that affirmation, and allow it to absorb itself into you, knowing that we are actually source and supply, just waiting to express itself on the planet. Source and supply magnetizes to us, and it's ours to let it out, to open up and let it out. So we're having that in January. And
I'm so excited about that I have already recommended it to one of my prayer partners.
Hooray, hooray. And I must say that for those who have taken it, some people were skeptical to begin with, because when they say to me, Reverend Verona, really? 7:15 in the morning? And the thing is, I tell them, well, is a 15-minute commitment worth your wealth and abundance? Because that's what it is. It's a 15-minute commitment. Yes, there is growth work during the day. However, and the growth work is really easy, because one of the things about it, or what is given, is that it's a prosperity activity. Like one of the prosperity activities during the Prosperity Abundance Play Shop is give as many compliments as you can today. Yeah. And it's just one of those things that, oh, this is a can do. Yes, I can do this. And basically what that does is, of course, keep us in the vibration of giving and receiving, and also keep us in the vibration of knowing there is no limit in spirit. It's limitless. It's infinite. So how many compliments can you give? Maybe you can give 100 more. Maybe you can give 1,000 more. We don't know. However, embarking upon it and being in the truth of it is what makes it show up in our lives as abundance, because abundance magnetizes to itself. It loves itself. And as we know, as Ernest Holmes says, if you give something, well, he didn't say this. Reverend Michael Beckwith says, if you give something away, that's the best way to ensure that it's coming back to you. And also, we know as CSL, if you give something away, you create a vacuum, and
there you go.
The universe abhors a vacuum. So yeah,
I abhor is such a pejorative term. I say that nature adores a vacuum.
Oh, Reverend Dr. Sharri, I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love that
because it can't resist filling that vacuum up.
Yes, that's it. Oh, nature adores a vacuum. Oh, thank you so much, my love. Thank you. That's perfection. Yeah. So,
oh gosh, that's wonderful. I that just sounds so marvelous, and you do that every year, which is really cool, because not only does that mean people who didn't know about it this year will be able to do it next year, but it means that people can have a refresher course. That is to say, they can be fresher in the process by doing it again next year, which is really great. And now you're doing some other really cool stuff too. I know, because I'm doing some of it with you.
Well, I'm being on this wonderful, fantastic, spectacular magazine that is published by our dear, wonderful sister, Reverend Dr. Laura Topper. And it is the Divine CEO magazine. And it is a magazine filled with articles and information and a reading list and all sorts of things for women of power. To bring our empowerment up and out. And it's, as you can see, the original New Thought magazine for midlife women. Yes, and on the verge of new beginnings. And we are all just on the very precipice. Every single one of us who is breathing, whether you're midlife or not, every single one of us who is breathing is on the precipice. So this is what's showing up next is Divine CEO. And I do know for a fact, or I believe, that Reverend Dr. Sharri is also in the articles in here, and that you, hooray, are the April cover girl.
I just found out yesterday I am the April cover girl. Wow. And you know what I realized as you were speaking just now is that it is a magazine for midlife women. However, life is eternal.
Oh, yes.
And what that means is that every single blinking one of us who has both an X and a Y chromosome is midlife.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Dr. Sharri, because that's exactly what that means. Yes. Oh, I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that magazine, yes, for December 1st, which is Friday. This week. Yeah, it'll come out December 1st. And it's the interview I had with Reverend Dr. Laura. And there's, as you can see, there's just a myriad of other articles and understandings and instructions. And it's all so steeped in endless love. It's all so steeped in the love for one another and steeped in that divine feminine love that is everywhere present. That giving itself bloom.
We probably should mention that this is an online magazine.
Oh, yes. This is an online magazine. Yes, we should. Yes.
And you can just Google it or
from that slide you just showed, you can just use the QR code.
QR code. Yes. That's it.
And if you're someone who is,
I haven't quite got the hang of QR codes yet, but okay, they can do that.
If QR codes are not your thing, you can see up there that you can also sign up by going to www.lauratopper.com. And that's another way you can sign up for the magazine if you would rather not use a QR code or it has not become a handy dandy part of life yet.
Excellent. Well, I'm so tickled that you're here. And I want to ask you, what's the most exciting thing that has happened in your ministry since the last time you were here?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. So many exciting things have happened. One of the exciting things, though, that just happened recently within the last few months is my ministry is Prosperity on the Move. And so my ministry is filled to overflowing with joy, enthusiasm, ecstasy, all sorts of things like that. That's the everyday part of the ministry. However, I got an opportunity recently to do a celebration of life. And so I got to bring all the prosperity of the eternality of life into that celebration. So that was for me, it was really wonderful. It was spectacular. It was for a 94-year young woman who had made her transition. So that was really one of the exciting things that happened. And so for me too, it opened up. I know prosperity is about everything. However, it opened up a part of me or a perspective within me that, oh yes, this is about prosperity on the move also. Yeah, that this is about the same thing. So that happened. The other things that have been happening is I've had an opportunity to speak and do prosperity workshops in a lot of different geographical places. Yeah, in Salt Lake City, in Utah, in Palm Springs, California, in Chicago, Illinois, and a lot of wonderful things like that. So I can bring the message that is mine to bring, that the gifts that I came here with, so that I can obediently and enthusiastically and with great gusto share my skills, my talents, and my gifts. So those are some things that have been happening spectacularly, as well as an opportunity to be a part of our Agape Bay Area service, be a part of my outreach CSL Palm Springs service, and integrate those things together.
Okay, so all of that sounds absolutely fabulous, and I love it. What's the next big thing that you're wrapping your head around, that you're wrapping your heart around, that you're seeing as a newness in your life that is exciting?
I am so happy you asked me that, because I am bringing the newness in my life that I'm wrapping my head around, my heart around, is the CSL Kenya conference. Yay! It's in February, and I am so excited. Yeah, I'm so excited that the little girl in me jumps up and says, "Oh, we're being there, we're sharing, So that is the next thing for Prosperity on the Move, and for me, that we bring all of that to the CSL Kenya conference, which is February 2nd through the 4th of 2024. So that's the next thing that's around the corner, that every time I think about it, I am with it. It exhilarates me. It gives me joy. It gives me gladness. And I understand that the grace that is always our sufficiency, that the grace is now, I get a visual of it spreading out over Prosperity on the Move and me and all of the activities that we are. And that is the next thing. Yeah, it's like kind of like Indra's net with all the sparkles in it, with all the diamonds, where each one of us connected. That's how I feel about the next great, giant, humongous, fantastic activity. Yeah.
Oh, I am so jealous. I wanted to go so bad, but it didn't fit. It just wouldn't work.
Exactly. I understand.
But I know that it didn't work this time.
That's it. Yes.
It's not, the answer is not no, it's not now.
That's it. A delay is not a denial.
That's right. So I'm delighted that I know a lot of people who are going to be there. So I know I'm going to hear about it. So
hooray. And the other part about it is, along with the conference, is it is expressing and unfolding a bucket list item for me for my whole life since I was a little girl. Because after the conference, a safari is offered, and I am going on the safari. Oh, yes.
Oh, how cool.
And as well as going on the safari, just to show us, we know TSRW, this stuff really works. However, to show the limitless love of the divine, my adult daughter, who knows, I had told her about this conference and how excited I am, and how excited I am to have play dates and connect with everyone who's in CSL Kenya. And then I told her about the safari, and she decided, because she knew this was a bucket list item of mine, I don't know, since maybe I was 20 years old, she decided to join me on the safari. She said, "Mom, I want to give this to you, time together for the two of us. on the safari.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And I'm going to give you an assignment for when you're on the safari.
Okay, yes.
I just finished my doctorate with Emerson.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Thank you. It's in wisdom studies, and one of the things that I studied in that doctoral program was consciousness in creatures that we considered different, just creatures that we consider, and pachyderms, and I mean, I studied all kinds of, and so what I would invite you to do when you're there is connect with the consciousness in the animals that you see. Recognize them as sentient beings and connect with the consciousness in it. Because every exam I had would ask me, what were my feelings about consciousness in dolphins, consciousness in bees, consciousness? And I would say, well, what kind of dummy would think they weren't conscious? How could they not be conscious? And here's why. Because what every faith tradition agrees on is that nothing existed before God started creating things. God created everything, right? And if nothing but God existed, that means the only substance God had to mold into all of the trillions of things that it created was itself. So it would not be possible for God to create something that wasn't conscious.
Yes. Absolutely.
So we need to move into a place of connecting with that consciousness and knowing that, and I mean, there are places where giraffes join you for breakfast by poking their head in the window of the dining room. And there are places where elephants go to mourn the loss of relatives. You know, I mean, I was jealous before, but now I'm really jealous.
Oh, Reverend Dr. Sharri, you're
take that with me. Take that with you. That part of me will go with you.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Sharri. You would not know this. So we had an information meeting this week, and one of the things they said is when you're eating breakfast, if you're eating bananas, the monkeys like to come up and steal your bananas. And I haven't had that close of an interface with monkeys in my life. Other animals, yes, but not monkeys. And so thank you. Your assignment or your growth work for me is wonderful, because when I heard that, initially the human part of me said, ooh, ick. However, I realized, oh, wait a minute, these monkeys are just like I am. They're kids. There's the kid in there, just like there's the kid in me. So I'm introducing the kid in me to the kid in the monkeys.
There you go. That's what you do. Oh, I'm so thrilled.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Sharri, for that assignment. Yeah.
So there are some questions that I ask everybody.
Okay.
Even the people who've been here before, because they're different people when they come the second time.
Yes.
You know. So the first one is probably the most important one to you. Is there anything that you want to talk about, that you want people to know about you and your ministry that I haven't asked you about? And if there is, tell us about it.
Well, I kind of touched on it a little bit. However, the thing about me and my ministry is it's prosperity on the move. I am available to move. I'm available to be in other places. I'm available to be in other places, every place all over the globe, virtually. And I'm also available to be in other geographical locations. It is an on the move ministry. It is, as Reverend Dr. Sharri said in the beginning, or maybe she didn't, it's a focus as a focus ministry. It doesn't have brick and mortar. So it is mobile. It is on the move. Yeah. And also that in my ministry one of the things, or several of the things I do, we've spoken about workshops and play shops. However, I do inspirational speaking all the time, and I'm available for spiritual inspirational speaking. And that can also be along with a workshop that is customized to whatever is requested or whatever is the theme of anyone's center or their organization or anything like that at any time. Because what I love about Science of Mind is that we can bring Science of Mind into the secular world. And that now the secular world is saying all the things that we have been saying and knowing and being for 100 years. So we're meshing together now. So I love that it's not just spiritual centers where prosperity on the move can be. It can be any place.
So what you're telling me is that your focus ministry has as its audience not just spiritual centers and not just individuals, but organizations that want to learn how to be consciously prosperous in their business.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is so wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that languaging. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. So that's your questions are wonderful, and they ask everything, and I think that's only other things, that to know about the ministry.
Okay, then here's the next one. How does what you do as Verona Garland, what you do as Prosperity on the Move, how does that encourage, enhance, develop, pick your own verb, conscious evolution?
Well, I'm going to use enhance. And enhance, I love that. That's a wonderful verb. It enhances the consciousness, because prosperity and abundance and affluence are all an energetic. It's all energy moving itself around, and that energy is a vibration. So that as we all embrace and embody and identify with the abundance that we are, then it shifts the vibration of the entire planet. And we may not see it, think we're seeing it in our humanness, from our perspective. However, it shifts it, just like, how when the tide goes in and the tide goes out, the sands get shifted. They get shifted and they're in a different place as the water moves. So I believe that that's what Prosperity on the Move, in fact, not I believe, I know that's what it does for the consciousness. It shifts the consciousness, and it also holds that vibration of wealth, abundance, affluence within and as every single individual and being on the planet, and especially and along with those that are two-legged, four-legged, that swim, that jump, that slither, that roll, whatever it is, so that we all understand and accept that prosperity is available right here where we are in this second.
Okay, so here's the second one, and it sounds at first like the same question, but it's not.
Okay.
How does what you do as Verona Garland and as Prosperity on the Move, how does how you be as Verona Garland and Prosperity on the Move, how does that encourage, enhance, support, expand world peace?
How it encourages world peace, how I be, and how Prosperity on the Move bees, which we know is not technically correct, is that Prosperity on the Move is steeped in love, steeped in compassion, and I am also. And so it's my everyday activities of what is it, how do I be in the world, and how does that bring peace? Oh, and the other thing is Prosperity on the Move, as well as myself, Verona Garland, it's an inside job of peace. Okay, so where is there any space in my mind where it is not peaceful? Is there any place within my consciousness or my beingness where I am holding unforgiveness, resentment, rancor, upsettedness, anything like that? Where is there any part of the fiber of my very being that is filled with any little iota of unpeacefulness? And in what ways can I use my spiritual practices and just my breathing and my being to bring peace, absolute ultimate peace within, through, and as me, and within, through, and as Prosperity on the Move, with compassion and with love and with understanding and with awareness and with gratitude and with forgiveness, to bring that peace out into the planet, because that's how it works. It's already there, and it's magnetizing to itself.
Yes. Okay. Now, you might want to close your eyes for this one because it requires imagination. Provided with the understanding that every single thing, every detail, every event, every experience, every relationship unfolds exactly the way you want it to. Exactly the way you want it to. 10 years from now, what does Verona Garland and Prosperity on the Move look like?
Ooh, I love this question, Reverend Dr. Sharri. 10 years from now, Prosperity on the Move has outlets, or Prosperity on the Move has places all over the planet. Okay. Prosperity on the Move has centers. Not centers, but just Prosperity on the Move has places for play all over the planet, because that's what we're about, fun. And so every time I even think about it, like in the morning when I do my meditation devotionals, it's my play date with spirit. So places for play dates with spirit all over the globe, enriching and teaching and uplifting women, uplifting women and men, young women and young men, and allowing them to know that this whole prosperity thing is within, and they brought it with them. It came when they incarnated. And also, as each individual embraces it and embodies it, that it radiates out into their community. So that prosperity on the move is known as a community resource, a community supporter, a community philanthropy, a community generosity, and so much more in places all over the planet.
Oh, well, you know what you need for that? You need sweatshirts that say, life is a play date with spirit.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And my very last question that I ask everybody, will you come back?
Absolutely. Before I say, will I come back? Do I have your permission to use that slogan you just gave me?
I just gave it to you. You
right.
better.
Thank you. Thank you. I better send you one for Christmas, huh? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good. I would wear it. The first opening I have is October 15th of 2024. Can I plug you in?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
That is my appearance month. So I'll be happy to celebrate my appearance month with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And I need to, our guest next week is, we have a twofer. It is Reverend Dr. Jeannie Kataoka is joining us, and she's going to be talking about animal ministry, and she's bringing someone with her, but I don't know yet who it is. So it's going to be a surprise to all of us. And it's going to be interesting because we're going to be talking about animal communication from a spiritual perspective, which is pretty darn cool, I think. So don't miss it. In the meantime, have a great week. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things.